North Korea released footage of what it claimed was leader Kim Jong-un inspecting a hydrogen bomb. The development caused global tensions to rise and put the U.S. on high alert. Aside from the devastation a nuclear weapon could cause, my next guest says if used at the right place and altitude, electromagnetic energy could take virtually the entire U.S. off the electrical grid. Arizona Congressman Trent Franks is on the Armed Services Committee. He joins us now live. Good to see you, sir.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So what is your concern now with the launch that we saw today and the possible threat to the continental U.S. or really any U.S. territory?
Well, it just seems like every day that passes, North Korea demonstrates a new capability. The one that you mentioned, the potential hydrogen bomb or the warhead that would be a two-stage warhead, is something that I believe is an actuality. There are some who think that this is an enhanced fission bomb, that it's not actually a fusion weapon. But that would mean that they'd have to use so much of their fissile material that that wouldn't probably be likely. And it was over 200 kilotons of yield, so this is a big bomb. And at the same time, they were the ones that threatened to use it as an EMP weapon, which would mean a high-altitude nuclear burst that would interact with the ionosphere and create a massive rush of ionized particles to the Earth, which could overload some of our most critical electrical components and put us in a very bad situation without electricity.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the potential.
And talking about things that we deal with every day that our society has become so dependent upon. Yes. I mean, everyday life, that would be devastating, just that effect. I want to bring in something here that we heard from Senator Cardin, ranking Democrat over in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, about what he says about how we're handling North Korea. Here's his take.
Diplomacy keeps us safe and allows us to use soldiers only when we need soldiers, and it has not received the priority it should under this administration.
So what do you make of that?
Well, you know, diplomacy is always heard in the shadow of military might and capability. And the Clinton administration used so much diplomacy that North Korea got nuclear weapons. And it's something that I think is laid primarily on their doorstep. This administration has made it very clear to North Korea that there's a different mindset in the White House. And I believe that it's very important that North Korea and their leader, that Mr. Kim Jong-un, understands that if they launch a nuclear weapon and it hits civilian populations in the United States of America, that they will need a Geiger counter to find Pyongyang. And if they understand that, I believe that that's probably the kind of deterrent that this administration has made more credible, that has the best chance of being able to prevent these kind of tragedies from occurring.
What do you make of these discussions they're having on Capitol Hill, a hearing just days ago about whether or not our current president is capable of exercising control over our nuclear program? Here's a little bit of what Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat out of Connecticut, had to say about how he thinks about that issue.
We are concerned that the President of the United States is so unstable, is so volatile, has a decision-making process that is so quixotic that he might order a nuclear weapons strike that is wildly out of step with U.S. national security interests.
Is that something that worries you?
Well, I just think that the comments of the gentleman there should be held in essential contempt, because I think that he's deliberately trying to politicize the issue, that his real focus is not the equation that we face with North Korea. Our civilian military command structure is firmly in place. And I have every conviction that this administration will act wisely. They certainly have so far. This president worked hard to get $4 billion additional in the defense budget for missile defense. And I would just shamelessly use your television program, if I could here, to beg any relevant people in the administration that are listening to go one step further now and to endorse Section 1685 and 1688 in the National Defense Authorization Bill to help us build a space-based missile defense layer and a boost phase capability. If we had that now, Shannon, it would be a very different equation. We really wouldn't be in the kind of bind that we're in. I think that it will happen. Mike Pence is essentially overseeing that. I know that if he understands that, and I believe he will, that this will happen. But this administration is doing things essentially about the best they can right now. And it's ironic. The detractors are the ones that put us in this position, and now they're trying to give this administration a difficult time for having to deal with their mess.
Well, today's launch opens up this conversation all over again. So, Congressman Franks, always great to have you. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you.